All right, let's give it a little minute. Get started. Definitely just finished watching that Knicks Hawks game. Pretty great game. Playoffs have been surprisingly better than expected. If anybody's into the NBA games, it's definitely been a lot of good games going on. Um, I'm going to make sure I'm good. All right, so yeah, I think we're good to go. Um, Wanted to jump on. A lot of exciting news, a lot of exciting updates. I just kind of feel like in the tech AI space, you really it's almost like a full time job just keeping up with all the updates that come out. So it's like if you feel overwhelmed or feel like you're just like missing out or you're not feel like you're not in the loop as much as you would like to be. I think that you know it's natural because these updates are coming. They're coming fast. Um, you know, these models are dropping every single week. It feels like, and you know, to keep up with it, it's kind of this thing where it's like if you're really building, you can't keep up with all the updates because if you're really building, then you just don't have the time to even to like you're in the midst of building something. So it's like how can you stay on top of each one of these updates that come out? So, it's one of those things where it's like if you're feeling like you're left behind or you're feeling like you're not using it as much, I don't think that you should fall in that trap. Try to keep up with it as much as you can. Uh, I'll even plug, what we do at Bagverse. We do that. So this is our newsletter that we send out you know, to our audience, to our community, where we help people get up to speed, let them know, like, we actually released a new one today. You know, so definitely something to kind of just keep sign up, subscribe. The link will be in the bio of wherever you're at, YouTube or Twitch. But we go in depth on different topics. We help you guys just get up to speed on how to start leveraging these tools, whether you're a solopreneur or a small business or just on a personal use. So it's just a whirlwind of information. There's a whole lot releasing. So let's jump into it, and then we'll kind of just go from there, man. So I think the first thing that kind of wanted to touch on is, and I always use Grok as like my starting point to grab the latest updates from all sources, including on X, because it's just a great place. And we'll start with some Grok, SpaceX, X, cursor news of the SpaceX cursor acquisition. So this week, I believe it was announced that SpaceX is either in, I think they're in contract for acquiring Cursor. And I think that this is a really interesting and and big move. I think that so they haven't officially acquired it yet. Announced a major strategic partnership with Cursor. Um, the deal gives SpaceX the option to acquire Cursor later in 2026 for $60 billion, which is insane. Cursor started off as a fork of VS Code, and they're now worth $60 billion basically at this point. That's the floor. Or if it chooses not to exercise the option to simply pay Cursor $10 billion. So the floor is $10 billion, which is amazing. So they posted this on X. Companies are working closely together. So just to kind of give some background, Cursor I'm a big user of Cursor. Cursor essentially so it started off as a fork of, I don't have it, I'm on my iPad that I'm streaming from, but it started off as a fork of VS Code. So essentially it's like VS Code, on the desktop, but it has AI baked right into it. So you have your chat window. Let me see if I can just even find a quick screenshot of. I mean, at this point, if you're in the space, you're pretty familiar with what Cursor can and cannot do. But let me just try to. So what I have right now is Cursor on the web, and I'll get into that. But I want to see if I can pop up just a quick view of what Cursor looks like, and if not, then we can move on. Let me actually do this. Pull up in Brave. Just trying to find like a screenshot of it for you guys. No. This is cursor.ai maybe. Let's see images. See what they come back with. Nope. You suck. Okay, so here's some. So if you're familiar with VS Code, essentially it's an IDE, but with Cursor, the AI is baked directly into the IDE itself. So you kind of have your chat window on the side, and then you can essentially just like conversate with your code base while all in the IDE. And it's been a really useful tool. They really, I would say that they really cornered. Maybe I just go to Cursor. Let me just go to cursor.ai, and they'll have the best images, right? No, not that. Okay, maybe. Let's do that. Okay. Maybe they just have it. Okay, so it is definitely a much better image of what it looks like. So, so essentially, like you have you're in your IDE, you can kick off the agent, you can kick off plan mode, agent mode, which it goes off and executes code for you. They now have the browser window in it, so you can essentially, like, whatever you're deploying and building, you can then pop open a browser all in IDE, and Cursor can still control and do debugging on that window for you. So Cursor's been a great tool. Cursor, they were ahead of the curve in terms of like in making it very simple to start applying large language models of your choice into your code base, because Cursor came out before Claude Code. It came out before Codex. So before that, what you used to have to do is you would like copy a bunch of your code, put it in the chat on ChatGPT or Claude, and then get the feedback, and then have to take that and put it back in your code base. And it had a lot of flaws with it. I actually was doing that for a little bit when I first started toying around with it. And, there was some flaws there, because the only other option for integration in the IDE was Microsoft's Copilot, and Copilot just wasn't good. The model behind Copilot just wasn't cutting it. So Cursor introduced the first integrated IDE with with the models integrated into it, and then you could pick and choose between the different models. And then since then they've grown. They actually are no longer a fork of VS Code. Last time I checked, and they are essentially like they've built their own IDE. It still has all of the different VS Code. VS Code has a lot of integration, so you can integrate that all into your browser. And then now they've also expanded to the web. So now what we're looking at right now, this is my web instance. Let me go back. So Cloud Agents overview. Where do I want to go? Not there. Back to agents. Sorry. So this is like your dashboard in the cloud. So now you can connect your repos. So like I'm on my iPad right now, and I could still use Cursor on my repos, and I can start coding, and I can start doing things directly, from the browser, and not even have to be on my desktop anymore. And then it also still have that capability where you can actually have the app deployed all in the cloud, and you can see it run. You can test it. You can have a whole development environment. I'll even let me see if this one is ready, because this is my app curation lounge. So if I come into here, we should see it. We can do a demo later, or I could, because there is a bit of a setup when you're trying to do it. So you see it here, like it had it deployed, and it had it all set up. But I noticed there was a bit of a setup that I just haven't really touched base too far with, like having it always connected. But essentially, like if I pop up a new agent, it should work. You select your repository. So I have a bunch. Let's see. I may save this for later if I want, but let's see how quickly I can spin it up. You can pick which model you want. So I tend to use Codex in Cursor just because I use Claude Code a lot. When I'm in Claude Code, I use all of Claude's models, but I tend to use Codex. That gives me exposure to either or, and it's a really great back and forth ping pong to compare the two models to see if one can catch the other's mistakes. I haven't used Gemini much. I started toying with their Composer 2. So this is Cursor's own model, which is another reason why they've been able to sort of like maybe command such a higher, a higher valuation. But let's see, I can do something like, so we can do something like, we can start a brand new agent, and I'll just let that run. And now it's setting up a whole virtual environment, which is just one of the most amazing things to see with the way these AI agents are really, really, really pushing the use case for VMs, for virtual environments that mimic being on a server, and now you can do everything in the cloud. Because I just remember working with VMs in a really, really early stage. So yeah, there's a bit of a setup. It's like you have to reset up your development environment each time. I'll let this run, and I'll see if it gets to deploying it, and we'll get back to it. But so, that's Cursor in a nutshell. They have a lot of potential there. Even with Claude Code and Codex in play, I still think Cursor has carved out a nice niche for themselves, because they essentially like did the integrations early, and they have that modality, right? So it's like, and I think Claude Code and Codex allow for you switching between models too. So it's not like they're the only people doing it, but having it all in the IDE, I think has been, sort of like their differentiator. But they haven't tied themselves to just one company. So this would be sort of like a discovery on how that could go for them. I like it on both sides, right? Grok hasn't really. I don't think Grok isn't available as a model in most of these coding environments. I'm curious to see how it would hold up and how it would be able to handle it. Um, like if we go back to this agent thing, I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think that it is a potential model that can be picked. We can even look it up. Uh, be used in coding environments like Cursor or Claude Code. I haven't seen it, but it could be out there. I just don't. I'm just not aware of it. But I think there's an opportunity for X to say, we have this pretty powerful model. I use Grok a lot. Yeah. Okay. So yes, Grok Code Fast directly in Cursor. Okay. So it is in Cursor. I just haven't really used it that much. Oh, I think you have to use your API keys. They don't just like have the model. So like with Cursor, if you see the model in the drop down, that means if you use it, it's going to be a part of the plan that you're optimize sort of like It's still. Yeah, so that audio's. All right. How's the audio now? Okay. Sounds like I'm back up. So sorry about that, guys. So yeah, so pretty interesting deal. Pretty we're gonna really see how that shakes up, and if stock SpaceX winds up actually going through with the purchase, it'll be really interesting to see sort of like how that plays out. Yeah, so I seems like I cut out sometime around the 19-minute mark. Um, uh, so I will keep tracking that as we go along. Right. So, that's the news there. What else do we want to look at news wise? Yeah, Tim Cook recently stepped down from Apple. That's really big news. It's crazy that he's been there for 15 years already at this point. Uh, let's actually look at that. I mean, over these last 15 years, we've really seen Apple understand how to milk the most out of what they already have. I think that, yeah, he raised the valuation from 340 billion to like something trillion. Um, so Tim stepping down after nearly 15 years. I actually had a pretty cool graphic of uh I saw a pretty cool graphic that I responded to on X about this. See if I can find it. Here it goes. This is a pretty interesting thing. Let's look at when he took over. Um, Apple was valued at 347 billion. They're now valued at 3.7 trillion. They had a high of like close to 4 trillion, which these numbers are just astronomical. But I think if you look at the differences in these two regimes, is that one was just a slew of just like innovative products. You had the iMac, you had the iPod. These are generational innovations. You had the iPhone, you had the App Store, you had the iPad, you had iCloud. These are all just like innovative new products and new features and new you know just new technology that just wasn't there before. So I think what Tim Cook's sort of like legacy would be is like, how do we package all this innovation that we put out in the last regime and just get the most out of it, incrementally keep improving them, but you know how do we just keep maximizing the shareholder value? And I think that that's what he did. He came in to do that. And I think there was some innovative stuff there. Apple Watch, I'm still on. I still have my 6E. I think this is. It's still great. Still a great device. iPhone has obviously improved a lot since it first released, and there's been a whole lot of like advances on what it can do. But the compared to how many come out, it seems like it's just small tweaks here and there. So I think you can still say that he, was a part of the innovation on the iPhone side. Apple Vision Pro, while innovative, is just a really super novelty piece. Not many are going to touch that. So, that's just kind of like what it is there. And then you have, I mean, there's been advances on the MacBook Pro. The M1 chip is a pretty big advancement, I think. And the fact that like this iPad that I'm streaming from is, I think this is running on an M2, and this is a powerhouse. Like, I mean, I know the newer ones are probably on M4 already, but I'm able to do a whole lot with my iPad. So yeah, I think still a lot of achievements there. And his successor is going to be John Ternos, Apple's current senior vice president of hardware. He's been a lot of the Apple keynote, so it will be a familiar face. Cook will stay as CEO through the summer until September 1 to ensure a smooth handover. He described the move in an employee note as "This is not goodbye." So, it's pretty big news. Curious to see what John brings to, how is he going to push forward things. I'm thinking we might start seeing some innovation on the hardware side, some innovation on, just kind of like how maybe like maybe like really nailing how Apple is going to land on the AI space, since they've failed quite a. Well, I don't know if they failed. I don't know if failed is the right word, but they just haven't. They've been non-existent, because I mean, at the end of the day, there still will be the gateway for how people use AI, whether it's on your phone, whether it's on your laptop or your Apple Watch or whatever device. You're still most likely working with the Apple device to interact with AI. So, they are still the last mile, and I think that that's what they banked on. Let everybody else duke it out to have the best model. They still got to use an Apple device. I believe that they built a deal. Uh, Give me the details of the Apple and Gemini deal to power Siri. So I believe that they're partnering with um, Google Gemini to improve Siri and Apple Intelligence for the time being. And then the end goal is this is how they're going to get to their own in house model. And then they've built a lot of I believe it's called MLX framework, that allows for models to run directly on your Apple device. So, they have the foundation and they have models in there. They're just not at the level of some of these, bigger ones. So Apple and Google announced a multi-year partnership on January 12th, 26. Will power the next generation Apple Foundation models. These will underpin enhanced Apple Intelligence features and significantly upgrade more personalized Siri, expected later in 2026. So, we've been hearing this for quite a bit. Let's see if it actually happens, and let's see if it happens as a part of this new regime. But, I think it's something to look forward to see how Apple can continue to just really, push the needle and take us into the next, this next realm, so to speak. Uh, so I just gotta need to do something. Where are we at? Turn something off. So I use a ton of automations, and one of them is I make sure to turn off uh, my iPad at night, and it's really helpful because it makes sure I noticed, like, when you don't turn it off and unconnect it from the internet, it just burns battery. So I just make sure to do that, and it lasts longer. That's a tip. That's a trick if anybody needs it. So what else has really kind of caught my attention? Um, Before I jump into Claude design, which to me it's been amazing to see what Claude has been doing, man. I think Claude is really just Anthropic as a whole is really doubled down on, we are going to focus on people who get work done and give them the tool sets to help them keep getting work done. I'm a huge power user of Claude Code. I've been able to really just like ramp up a lot of my initiatives, really tackle a lot of, coding problems, infrastructure problems, planning problems, and just really scale it up. I definitely I'm a power user of Claude's products. Co-work has been a really nice addition to the suite of features. I did a live on that last time where you can essentially just have co-work do basically everything that you do on your computer today for you. If you tell it the right instructions, you guide it and you show it and you document that process, it can then now repeat that for you. So I have a ton of automations that are going on while I'm not even at my desk, and you can spark that from your phone using Dispatch in the Claude app. So this is their response to Claude bot and being connected with like a WhatsApp or Discord. So Claude has really just been like answering the bell. Chat OpenAI, I kind of moved away from ChatGPT maybe a year and a half ago. I still have it, but I just don't really use it that much, and I'm not paying for it. So I know that Codex, I do use the Codex models within Cursor, but I just don't think that they've doubled down on professionals and enterprise the way Anthropic has, and because of that, they've kind of just for me it's I've switched over to Anthropic, and I'll use Gemini for visuals or like just to kind of like look things up, but Anthropic is definitely the go-to model. So yeah, so Claude, before I go into the Claude design, they've just really changed the game with it, and this new feature, which I'm going to show you guys, it's just been awesome, man. Let's jump into it. So, um, where am I? So Claude Design is a new feature on the Claude, suite of tools. It is not in the desktop app, but if you signed on the web, then you'll see it on your sidebar. So if we click into it, you'll see it's in research mode. And I already kicked off some, so I mean, I have no problem using my overusage, but I already got some designs that I want to work with. Um, so basically, as you see here, we have our, looking for my Apple Pencil. There it goes. So we have wireframes, we have high fidelity, so you can choose like how in depth you want a prototype to be. You can create slide decks with this. From template is basically like uh, let's actually dig into it. But from to create a project first, then convert it into a template. So you can like create a project and then like now turn it into a template. So moving forward, it knows what you want to do. And then other is just kind of like just create the project and just go. You can set up your design system. So I haven't touched this just yet because provide examples of your design, tell us about your company. And so you can like, your logos, your images, your color schemes, your existing assets, and it will create a design system for you. I want to really dig into that, but I'm going to hold off on that. So, they have, if you look here, they have examples of how you can use it. So you can do something like this to create, visuals there. And then remember, Claude really ignored and didn't even try to like go deep into the visual aspects of large language models, like generating images. They just totally didn't touch it, and now they've touched it in a way that makes sense that you're going to use. When you're creating content, when you're creating slide decks, when you need to, Figma. I think they said that Figma stock went down like X amount right after Claude Design was introduced. So they've introduced image generation in a way that's going to be useful on day one. So here's the different like things that they said that you can do with it. So this is pretty cool. You can create things like this. You can add things like this to your site. It's all pretty cool, right? So there's their examples, design systems. So, design system, create new design system, make default. Uh, no, so I didn't do that yet. I will. Um, I want to do that. Like I said, once I really kind of like lock it in. But let's go to some that I've kicked off already, right? So, uh, this is so Curation Lounge is one of my sites, right? So what you do is you would go in and you connect your GitHub repo again, and it reads everything from the GitHub. And so let's first start off with how Curation Lounge looks today, right? So this is Curation Lounge. This is my platform where essentially we allow for content creators to help. We create personas for content creators that help other people get styled, so they can like basically leverage their expertise and share that with clients. And one of the pieces of that is that we are starting to onboard content creators and just find new ways to help them get the most out of the content that they already put out there, right? So one of the things that I want to do is I want to create a new onboarding flow and a new onboarding landing page for the content creators themselves. So this is something that I had a clear design on what I wanted, clear need on what I wanted. So what we did is we brought in the whole GitHub repo, then it'll take you through asking you some questions like, what are you building for? What are you looking to accomplish with it? What is the end goal? They just ask some questions, right? So you can kind of see it. They format it better when you're actually in it, but there's the questions that they ask you: who is this for? Is it gonna, what are the colors that you're looking for? How many variations? So they kind of like take you through a step by step on like what are the things that are important when you're designing something. And then at the end, Claude goes off and starts building it for you. So I was just in awe at what came back. Like this is the final design on the landing page for this new flow. And this was just like, going back again, this is Curation Lounge, what it looks like today. And it matched sort of that theme and more. It matched some of the color schemes. So now this will be a great starting point for the new landing page that I create for content creators to now join Curation Lounge. And it created this is a HTML landing page, animations, graphics. And then what's cool here is that they have the entire flow on how somebody would sign up, because it looked at my code base and it understood what does signing up look like. How does that step flow by flow? And I was just amazed at just what this produced here. And then now what you do is you then now hit this share, and you can export it to a PDF. You can present this to your team. I didn't mean to do that. Let's go back. So we would come here, but then you could do handoff to Claude Code, which I did earlier. Actually, I can actually even show you the session. So I'll point out one of the bottlenecks that I saw. But so then you just copy the command, and it will go and fetch this design and implement it in Claude Code, or you can um, you can do it in setup in Claude Code Web, or you can do it download zip. So there's a couple of different options. I did the download zip option where it basically has all of this context that it used to create that design that we see. And then you add it to your Claude Code session, and then now you can start. So I think yeah, this was what I tried earlier. For some reason, it was just kind of like crapping out on trying to pull in that design. So I just ran it on my own local machine, and I just have to push it up. But we could have essentially ran it in the web, and then it would have did the same thing. But this is amazing. This is now like a fully functional design that you can then now have Claude build for you. And this, I was just really amazed at the level of detail, just how precise it was, how it captured the theme that we're looking for here. And this is just a one shot at this. It did this in maybe 10 minutes. Now, what I did notice is that one session, I noticed I maxed out my usage for Claude Design in 2 sessions because I did 2 of my websites. Another site that I did is my Bagverse site, which is what we're talking. This is the platform that you guys are tapped into right now. Um, and I'll just kind of pull up the landing page that I created, and then I'll show you guys. And then now, one of the cool things, you can make tweaks. You can say, hey, maybe I want, to accent the themes and that to change. You can make comments like what it did get right, what it didn't. I haven't really like gone too far into that because I want to kind of like toy around with what's already there. You can edit things yourself. Maybe the comment section. Oh, so comments, you can add comments there and it will edit things. You can draw around things. You can like do like this and be like, hey, I want you to change that, so it's really a full, if you've used Figma before, these are the kind of things that you can do in Figma. So they've really built a suite of, essentially just like letting you, here's the V1 of it, and now you can go ahead and really, really start improving it and changing it, right? So now this is, I asked it to, so this is the current Bagverse site. Um, uh, not that one. So this is no, not that. Crazy. Um, this is the current Bagverse site, right? And this is the current Bagverse site. So I like it. I did this. So now, interesting enough, I used it was a tool called 21 First Dev that it was integration into Cursor at the time. And it had a pretty cool way of basically like helping you find other designs online and then helping you integrate it into your app. So that's what I use to kind of like design some of the hero section. So basically, it's like a registry of components and developer tools that they then now essentially make it like really easy for you to plug them into your site, right? So let's look at, like, you'll even see that I use some of these featured, like uh, let's see which one of these I used. So these are all just like UI components that you can just pop into. Um, you can, so like this one, right? So you'll see that this is on, as you scroll, it kind of moves and does that. So I have that in the Bagverse site. So you see here, I used it. Well, I changed. Oh, here, right here. So I used it here in this section. So you can like pick and pop some of the section that you want to use. And I like my landing page. The traffic has been pretty good. People have been able to kind of like find what they're looking for and sign up. But I do want to make some changes to it. So I was just curious to see like what Claude Design would, any recommendation that they would make. And this is what it came back with to unify it and make it a bit more minimalistic, I guess. And I like it. I'm not 100% sure if I will change it at all, but this is just, again, this is a one-shotter and it looks really clean. Um, I'm on my iPad, so it won't go full screen right now, but this is their interpretation of how to make it look cleaner, minimalistic, And this is just amazing. And then again, I can just plop this into, I can plop it into Claude Code. I can also plop it into Cursor, whatever, tool I'm using, and it will implement it, and it'll implement it really quick. So this is like a game changer if you're not a designer, and you want to kind of move away from some of the standard telltales that someone's using AI to code, because AI does a lot of like defaulting to some of like the same characteristics when it is doing front end work, like that high. It's like a gradient of purple that you'll see a site on. There's a site with that. It's like, all right, AI probably wrote that. So now it's getting way more customized, way more intentional. But something that stood out to me, and I saw it on someone's YouTube page, and I want to play around with it, is using Claude Design to create content. And
that sync up and go along with what I'm actually saying in the video. And it should be,
I don't know. So he has a part on this where um he had a part where he goes into like how to, yeah, this is it, method one. So Claude Design, how to actually make a video. You can make videos with Claude Design. I'm gonna breeze through this.
design. How do we actually make a video? How do we make it feel branded? And where are the limitations of Claude Design? So you guys pretty much just saw all that, right? I came in here and I have my AI Automation Society design system. So now it understands my logos, my branding, my colors, my typography, and that's how it made all of this stuff for me feel like the real website, which real quick, just to show you guys, it looks like this. So this is basically exactly what you saw in those other two things, the promo video and the website. It has the same buttons, it has the same font, it has the same colors. And now every video I make, or whatever I make in Claude Design, will also look like that. So let's say we want to make a new video. If I go here to From Template and I click on Animation, now we can actually make a timeline-based motion design. So I'm going to call this one May Short Demo, and we're going to create from template. So what I want to do here is, instead of just animating, motion graphics, I want it to take a video of mine and somehow animate that with things on top of it. So I'm going to drop in a video file real quick. Okay, so I just attached this file.
Now the fact that you can attach a video file into Claude Design and have it, as we'll see, you'll have it append content and B-roll on top of that video or a part of that video, is just like, I do that a lot in other apps that I use, like called Captions. I use it a lot where like I'll shoot myself, talking on a topic, and then Caption has this AI edit thing where you can kind of like add B-roll, add captions, it'll zoom in and zoom out for you, like add like sort of like all the video editing aspects to it. As a person that, for me, that's not my forte. But now this is a way that I can kind of like get that done faster, right? So let me actually pull up the Captions app. So this is the Captions app, and I'll give an example. Like, so I do it for some clients too. So like, I uploaded the original video of this, and then it added all of these animations that you see here. It
applies to post on X, Reddit, and Instagram, and it uses my own voice. It knew how
this is a lot of like editing work, which I've been learning as I've been creating content. Is just like a lot. There's a lot of work that goes into it. So it's definitely nothing to take lightly. So now if you can start automating that, this is just what this does though, is that I pay for Captions. You still would pay for Claude, but you could start doing it at scale, because I also do some content editing and writing stuff for clients. So this now gives the ability to start taking a lot of things that maybe have been bits and pieces, manual pieces put together, and now finding one cohesive way to do that. So this is
right here. You can see May Short 6. So it's like an 18-second clip or something. And I want it to animate it. So I'm going to say hey, I just gave you a video, an MP4 called May Short 6. And what I want you to do is create a landscape video. I want you to animate this so that people can watch the video, and there will be text and motion graphics and animations that sync up and go along with what I'm actually saying in the video. And it should be engaging and, you know, keep their attention while visually illustrating the concepts. Okay, so that is my prompt. I'm going to shoot that off. And now Claude Design is basically going to start asking me some questions, and it's going to start making this video. Now, what you'll notice here is it can't actually read or listen to or understand what's...
Now, this is the limitation here with that is Claude can't read or view the video that you upload. So you have to provide that additional context, which he'll go into in this video, and he'll say that, you know, he added the transcript with timestamps so that Claude understands what's happening in the video at each particular moment.
Said in the video.
So that is
which,
a limitation.
When you're animating a video, that's super important.
That is a limitation compared to captions, where captions is, which I'm just really curious on how they're doing that. They probably have a video model that can read that, but you know, they're aware of what's happening and at what time in the video without you having to do that. So that is, you know, sort of like the difference there. But again, you can sort of build this out and work around it, and you can start doing it at scale.
That's one of the limitations, is you would have to basically feed in like the transcript of it so that it could actually understand what's being said. And then it asks me some other questions. So where does your talking head sit? It could be full width.
So this is like sort of like that questionnaire that I didn't show you guys when we looked at design before, but this is the type of questions it asks before it goes off and does the work.
Behind me with graphics overlay on top. It could be me on the left, graphics on the right. And I'm just basically going to say, decide for me. Let's see what it can do. Visual energy level. Let's go with punchy. What kind of motion graphics? We will do animated captions. We will do, have to give it that timestamp stuff if you want it to actually sync the text and animations to what you're saying, which obviously is very important. And of course, so that it actually knows what motion graphics to create. Okay, so that took like 2 minutes. Let's see what we got. I've built over 500 AI workflows, and most of them, businesses don't need flashy automations or cool AI demos. They want simple things that save time or make money. That's it. The workflows that actually work are boring. Stuff that replaces...
Now, this video isn't as polished as captions, but this is amazing that Claude was able to contextually append a design system with a video and come out with, and you know, this is great promotional videos. It's something you could probably put online. So this is just, again, this allows for you to start creating content from one piece of content to start creating at scale because it's powered in Claude. You again, this isn't like totally new. Captions was doing stuff like this, but it wasn't doing it to this extent where now you have more control over the B-roll or over the graphic overlays that you can have be a part of the video. So I think that this is just like a game changer when it comes to, you know, again, Claude has really, I think that the smartest thing that they've done is double down on, we're going to build for professionals, that people that are already in the field, people that are doing things, people that are building stuff, and really introduce tools that helps them just like automate what they're already doing, instead of like ChatGPT's approach where it's just like this broad stroke of like, here's a bunch of things that you could possibly do. Maybe they make sense, maybe they're useful, maybe they're not. They're cool, they're shiny, but will you use them in your day-to-day? Not sure. And I believe for Claude Design, like this is like a product team's go-to, a developer who doesn't have a product team's go-to, a content creator's go-to. Like I said, I will start using this to scale up some of the content that I already helped create for myself and for my clients. There was more on the video around, you can also start leveraging Hey Jen's hyper, what is it? Hyper CLI. So Hey Jen introduced a hyperframes. So Hey Jen has released 2 distinct command line interfaces that enable developers and AI agents to generate video directly from the terminal. You have Hey Jen CLI wraps the V3 API to create avatar videos, while hyperframes is an open source framework for rendering HTML based composition. So what Claude Code is doing, that video that they actually produce is all HTML, which is something I just want to learn and see how that works. But then you can download that HTML into the actual video form. So essentially, like what they figured out is you can build video through HTML, and that's how you can programmatically build it. So there is a connection between using Claude Code and Hyperframe CLI at the same time to help come up with, taking your assets that you already have and coming up with the final product that's even more polished. So a lot of cool stuff there. I'm really excited to see how these things continue, like how you can leverage them and start using them. I'm going to start playing around with them this weekend, and look forward to kind of reporting back on some of the things that they can do. So with that, I'm probably gonna wrap. As always, check out the links to check out the links to get in tune with what we got going on the newsletter. Check out bagverse.com. And yeah, man, thanks for checking us out. Peace.